Hello, guys. Welcome back. I have Mohammed with me. Very happy to have you, Mohammed.
Thank
Mohammed
you.
is a PhD student right now, and he's also building PyCAD. He's a co-founder of PyCAD, along with Noor, whom I already made a podcast. And Mohammed, I came to know Mohammed. Actually, I came to know PyCAD via Mohammed's video only. I loved his tutorials on YouTube, and that's how got to know about PyCAD. Then um, I looked everything about what they do, and I followed them for quite a few I think 1 or 2 months, and then I reached out to them for the podcast. I'm very happy they accepted. I think also Mohammed. I think Mohammed has a background in only computer vision, has mostly computer vision. I would say he has some internship in computer vision. I think. So Mohammed, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah.
I missed anything? Um,
So first of all, thank you very much for the invite.
Absolutely.
I'm very happy to be here. Yeah. So I am Mohammed. I am a PhD student in computer vision now, and before that, I have a master's in computer vision as well. And as Shinta just mentioned, I had a internship in medical imaging. But the thing is that my PhD is separately different from medical imaging. We don't do anything related to that. And at the same time, I am a co-founder at PyCAD, where we build custom solutions for medical imaging. So mostly, like, this is a brief thing, but we can talk about the details in this session.
Perfect. So what do you work on in computer vision in your PhD?
What? Sorry.
On what topic, like what task
Yeah,
of?
yeah. Actually, it is a little bit different because, like, here in Belgium, when we work on a PhD, we mostly have a project that is the funding part. Then you have the PhD that is, yeah, like your research project. So in the first 3 years of my PhD, I have been working on a project related to drones. So where we have security systems using drones to detect actions, weapons, and stuff. And then after the 3 years, I have just started on another project, which is about AI for like, it is called AI for debunk, where we AI for debunk. So
Debunk.
debunk, yes.
What is that?
So we detect the disinformation related to two subjects. So now we are working on the war in Ukraine and the climate change. So
Okay.
we work on the articles, tweets, and stuff. Whenever there are news and stuff about these two topics, we try to detect if there is fake news about these, and also we try to detect disinformation score about these specific posts or articles or stuff. So mostly like this. But my PhD, like, it is a bit in between. So we are calling it multimodal data. So we are trying to build systems or modules where we take different types of data as inputs, like text, image, video, audio, and then based on that we can predict, like, what is happening. If we are talking about disinformation, it will be if it is fake or real. If we are talking about drone subjects, so we can say if it is a, like, an anomaly or just normal action and stuff. So this is the idea of the PhD. It is in between, where we take different types of data, we try to convert them into one shared latent space, and then we from that we can decide to which task we can do. So it can be just classification in text, or image, or on audio, and it can be something else, for example, detection, if you want to detect specific parts in the text, in the audio, or in the image. So mainly, this is the subject of the PhD.
That's fun. I will ask
Yeah,
you one question about this because I'm very excited to hear this before we move
sure.
on to your,
Yeah,
PyCAD. Uh, so for the debunking thing, how do you like make it interpretable? Like, how do you make it more than just input and output of into deep learning model? How do you make sure that the falseness of the audio or the text has some interpretation? Like, does it focus on something?
actually, we just have started working on the projects. We don't have much thing to discuss at the moment, but the idea is that we are not just making the final decision for the user. So we predict some stuff. We say, like, we think that this article is fake, or this image is deep fake, or something like this. We just give kind of score to the user, and the user can decide at the end. So we are not just making the 100% decision, because even this kind of stuff, this some news that can change. Yesterday it was true, today is fake, or vice versa. So this kind of stuff, like, it is very difficult to have a very accurate system in the fake news detection, because things can, like facts can change, and there is no specific model that can detect something during the time. So if we want a model that detects person, so it will be always the same kind of shape for a person to detect it. But if it is about facts, so the facts change like in time, in on time. So it can be true to tomorrow today and fake tomorrow. In this case, for this reason, mostly these kind of fact check systems, they leave the user to make the final decision. They don't make the decision for him. They just suggest that this is fake, or maybe spam, or something like this. But the user needs to decide at the end. So this is,
That's
I don't know
great.
if I answered your question or something.
No, I mean, not the interpretable part, but I understood what you mean, at least.
Yeah.
What is your thought process behind it? I'm very, it's because, if you personally, if I look into a deep fake picture, you can understand from the eye movements that, hey, this is fake, right?
Sometimes no. Sometimes I was working on some data sets when I couldn't see the difference, and also sometimes even the model could not. But this is the thing. I think for this reason we have the models as well, because sometimes we cannot see the difference, but the model can see based on some pixels and stuff that we cannot see by our eyes. But I don't think that all the time it will be easy to detect that it is deepfake by us, let's say. But AI models, maybe by time we can have models that can be more robust. But yeah, for us, I don't think that will be always possible to detect deepfakes.
Yeah, I have this question that, if you, let's say you take my image and then you add some adversarial noise, and then you run it through, ask a AI video like generator to generate a video.
Okay.
Even if it made realistic, I think this noise, adversarial noise, will also stay in the deep fake, right?
Yeah.
So that can also, anyways, that's just like, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Let's go on to the questions that I have for you.
Sure.
So one interesting thing is that, since I'm also a PG student, and there are many people out there like you and me. So how do you manage your time between your PyCAD, building PyCAD, and doing the research in your university?
Very interesting question, because like it is not always easy to manage, because like there are different things happening at the same time. But mostly it is about priorities. Like there is the PhD and the research projects that I am working on as a full time, because that is full time work. Then I have, because the PhD is part of the project. So when I work for the whole day as engineer, research engineer for the project, and so the PhD is also included in that time. So I mostly, let's say, if sometimes I can work the whole day for the PhD. When I say a whole day, I mean like from 8 to 4 or 5, like the normal working time.
Yeah,
So it is like sometimes like the whole day is about PhD. Sometimes the whole day about the research project. Sometimes half half. It depends to the priorities. But after that, when I get out, there where I start doing the other stuff. So for example, when I have let's say videos to post on YouTube or something like blogs or some stuff, I have some specific days located for that. Like and also I started planning like a video. It's been a while I didn't do a video, but for example, LinkedIn post or blog, and it will be also for videos, the same plan, which is like it should not take a long time per day to do that. So for example, if I say like each Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. I work on a video. So if the video, like I start working on it, sometimes there are technical things that I need to do preparing before the video. So if this preparation takes 1 hour, then I stop, and then maybe the day after or the week after that I do the recording. This way I will not waste a lot of time on that video, on that blog. I don't think that is the best way to do that, but since sometimes it is very difficult to have more than 1 hour on something, then I need to split it into several days or several weeks. And also sometimes I wake up early, not all the time, but sometimes when I have things to deliver, I wake up all early, work on the projects, then go to the lab to work on the PhD and research thing. Then when I get out, I do the same thing after that. And also the weekends. The weekends, like I don't have weekends, mostly, especially the Sundays. Sunday is kind of one day included in the week. So Saturday, yes, I do some things. I go out, some stuff like that. But mostly Sunday is full of work, more than Monday. But yeah, sometimes you can manage, but sometimes you cannot. But we try. Yeah, trying.
That's interesting. Okay, very interesting. So my follow-up question will be like two follow-up questions. One is like, uh, how do you like shift your gears to the next project? Because it's not like you have it in your mind. You have to think deeply, right?
Yeah.
How do you switch gears? Like, I find it very hard to switch gears because I'm thinking deeply and then sudden another thing came up. So do you prepare like weeks ahead mentally that hey, this is coming up, hey, this is coming up, or
No, actually, I don't do plans for a week. Mostly it's for day or two or per project. So it depends. If there is a project that has specific deadline that needs to be done, then I plan for that project, like how long it will take me, and maybe I can remove all the other tasks until completing it. If it will not take more than a week, if it takes more than a week, I cannot remove everything and like start working only on that specific thing for 2 weeks. This cannot be done. But if this is something that will take 2 days, 3 days, so like I will give it all my free time, like apart from the lab, all my free time, I give it to that until completing it. But the thing is that it is not always, as I said, it's not always easy to do that. But the idea, one thing that I do and I don't like, which is multitasking. So sometimes I am working on a project and then I got a notification about another project, something like that, and I start working on it at the same time. This is very bad idea, and like I don't like it, and I'm trying to change it. So I'm trying, at least if I want to switch between a project to another one, if it is at the same day or day after or something like this, at least I don't stop the project in a level where it will be difficult to start again next time. So
Mhm.
mostly if I am working on, let's say, a function to do a conversion or something, at least I complete that function,
Okay.
and then okay, I commit the changes and leave them for next time. But next time when I come back, I know where I am. And also I am trying to, whenever I know that I will stop working on a project for a while, I have my Notion, which contains everything. I write everything about that, like when I stopped, what, like to-do list, what is needed, what needs to be done like later, and then I switch to the other project. This is the best way that I do, but not all the time. And in this way, it is very, very efficient. Like if you stop working on that project even for a month or two, whenever you come back, you just read your notes and then see like you did complete the work that you were doing, so you just continue your project. But if you stop, sometimes I was doing it like this, which is the best way. I'm working on the function, and then I receive something else, and I just open a new VS Code page and start working with the other thing, which is like I don't recommend it at all. So try to finish what you are doing, then go to the other thing. And
Yes.
also, if you are giving a time for something, so let's say you are working for this hour on this thing, try to complete this hour for that thing, then go to the other thing, the other project or the other stuff, if there are. You see what I mean?
So this is very interesting. So coming to this, like, so is Noor working full time for PyCAD, or he has like,
Yeah, Islam is full time. Yes.
and are you also planning to work full time for PyCAD after your PhD?
Maybe yes. This is the thing. Like why we are trying to build PyCAD is that at some point we will not need to work in another part. Like we
Exactly.
cannot do this like all our life. So at some point we need to stop doing whatever we are doing, and then focus 100% on PyCAD. But for me, like what I say all the time, you cannot just say like in 2 or 3 years, whenever I complete the PhD, I will start doing my business. It doesn't work like this. You need to start your business from now. Even if you start even like learning for your business, not even building it, but you need to start from now. Don't waste time. Don't say like next year, like next 2 years. It doesn't work like this. Especially what is happening now. Each day there is new technology and stuff. You cannot wait. You should do stuff, even if they are small. But like even if 1 hour per day you do it for your business, you have like 7 hours per week. You have tens of hours per month, 360 hours per year. So in this case, like you can do all these things. Like you can like in 360 hours you can do tons of things. So why should you waste it? See what I mean? Like this is how I think, but depends on the people. Not all people want to do their own businesses. Some people like they are okay with having like salary basis job, and it is okay. We cannot all be business owners, and we cannot all be salary business things. But yeah, this is my opinion as it is.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
what one lesson from PhD has really helped you for PyCAD? Or like, yeah,
In the technical term, or
any, I mean, uh, probably in tech, I would say technical terms, yes.
yeah, in the technical terms, I can say like a lot of things, because even that my PhD subject is different from what I am doing in PyCAD. Like there are two different subjects, but the technical part, like it is common. So let's say you are using Python in both of them. So you are using the same libraries, same things, same ideas, same planning, and you are working with good researchers where you can learn from them. So I think the environment also has a good role. Like whenever you work with people, they may just give you one information that you can use it for the next 3 years, something like this. So I learned a lot. I don't have specific thing to say, but I learned a lot of things from my PhD, and I know that nothing that you are doing will be lost. Because even when I was doing my internship in medical imaging, I didn't expect that at some point I will work on I will have a company that works on this. But now, like it is like that. So this is the idea. Like whenever you are doing something, try to learn as much as possible from it, because you will use it later. Not maybe not today, but you will use it later.
Yeah, same thing.
Mm.
My father also says the same thing. So great to hear
Yeah,
that.
like it is like this. You should like you nothing will be wasted, especially the good things, of course.
Perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mohammed.
Uh,
So I also asked this question to, should I call your brother by Noor or Islam?
as you like mostly, like we call him Islam, but
Okay. Okay. So,
as you like.
yeah, I mean, I called him Noor all through the podcast, but he didn't tell me anything. So probably I
Yeah, like all the clients call him Noor, because like mostly it is Noor Islam. So most of the people call him Noor. The same thing for me. Like all my family calls me Amin, not
ah,
Muhammad. But
okay.
since Muhammad is the first name, like first name, let's say, so all the people, like all the clients, calls me Muhammad. But both names are okay. Yeah,
Okay, I will call you Amin.
no
So,
problem.
so I also asked this question to Islam that, you know, what was that moment, aha moment that you decided that, I want to focus on medical imaging AI? Uh, for Islam, it was different because he had a different kind of OCR and other directions. You also work in different competition. But when did you decide that I will work in medical imaging? I mean,
The thing is that there are several factors that's led us to this, but the idea is that at the beginning, the first door, let's say, to the medical imaging, it was my internship, because I didn't know much things about medical imaging before that. But my internship was the first step that led me to the medical imaging. And in that part, I hated medical imaging, to be honest. Like it was the first project, and it was a very difficult project for me. Like the subject was about detecting tumors in the whole body, not only in one region, the whole body, and we didn't have much data. And I was like fresh students where we didn't learn much things in deep learning and stuff. So several things were new. So you have the deep learning in medical imaging. Then we're working on the 3D deep learning, like 3D convolutions, because most of our scans were 3D. Then the lack of data, you don't have data. Then also the important part, which is the type of data. So mostly whenever we're working in our labs, like for the masters, it was always kind of normal images, like human images, animals and stuff. But when it comes to medical imaging, it is totally different thing. The format is different, the content is different, everything was different. And 6 months was very difficult for me to do a lot of things. But fortunately at the end of this the internship, I had something to present and I had a model that was working, but I struggled a lot. But let's say this was the first part. After that, what I started doing, I started creating videos about medical imaging. This was the first step to start liking medical imaging, let's say, because the issue that happened when I was in my internship, I didn't find a lot of resources. So whenever you like, there was no chat GPT or stuff, and even the resources about the medical part, let's say images or other types of data, is not something very common. So you cannot just type and find everything. And even the community is very, very small community. It is a niche. Okay. So this way I started thinking, wouldn't I create content and give things that I didn't find, especially the things that I were looking for, I didn't find, and I learned by myself. Why? So it started doing like this. So conversion between the data, Nifty, DICOM stuff, and then explaining things. Because I remember one of the issues that happened, like it took me 1 week to know what is the difference between Nifty and DICOM. I don't know why, like it is something, I don't say stupid, but kind of stupid thing, very easy thing to understand. But for me, like it took me 1 week trying to understand. There was a technical issue that led me to this, but it was like 1 week to just know the difference between these two types of data. So I don't remember exactly, but it was one of the first blogs that I posted, which is the difference between DICOM and Nifty. Because this was the idea, like posting things to have people understand and learn. And it wasn't even the idea of having a business or stuff. Just I like the way of writing blogs, posting videos, like seeing that people are interesting about that. That was the first thing. Then after that, when we started getting project like clients asking about building custom solutions, I think Islam mentioned this in the other call, like how we first got our first client. From that, it started the idea of why don't we have a business and work on this specific field.
Okay. So okay, that's interesting. What I was thinking, like, how do you see, like, the future of medical imaging, uh, consultants like you, the businesses, like, how do you perceive that? It's a very niche field, right? Very
Yeah.
niche. So do you see the people like hospitals and those people coming to you, or do you see people like researchers coming to you for help? How do you expect as a business, in a business perspective?
Mostly we don't work with hospitals directly because it is very difficult to get their interest. So we mostly work with the startups that build solutions that will be used by hospitals or something. Because we don't build our own solutions. We are thinking of it, but for now we don't have that. But the idea is that whenever there is someone who wants to build a solution that will be used by the hospitals, we help building that for him. But the thing is that as you said, it is a very niche domain, and the first problem with it, which is the data, like the data for the medical images, let's say, is not always publicly available. There are some kind of organs and stuff that are publicly available, but most of the other things that are specific to something, let's say for example to the teeth or something, these are a very specific data sets which cannot be found publicly just like that. And here where we have the limitations, and because sometimes you find a startup that are interested on working with you, but they don't have data. and they are planning to find data in like publicly or something like this. Because even if you want to buy the data, it is very expensive. Sometimes you can buy one scan by like 100 euros or some or dollars or something like this. So it is not always easy to buy the data, and sometimes even if you want to buy it, you cannot find it because they are very private to the hospitals and stuff. But I can say like the idea of the business part as a agency, more like whenever we have clients that they have data, or they at least their project requires some data that is already public, it is easy to work on that. Because sometimes, yes, sometimes we can find public data, but if you use it for a model, let's say we find a public data from US, and you train your model on that data, and then the model will be used from by clients from Japan or from China or something, from Asia, let's say. So the idea is that this model may not perform okay for this popularity. So this is one of the limitations when using a public data set. But if the client has his own data that has been collected from his own parts, and it will be used for this kind of people, then in this way the solution will be more robust. But yes, this is the thing.
So
But
mostly
yeah,
startups, as you said.
sorry.
Mostly startups, like
Yeah, mostly startups. We had some researchers. We work with some PhD students or some researchers in research labs, but they are not a lot. And most of them, most of them are just doing small projects for a paper or smaller projects for a study or something like this. So they are not willing to have very big business, or they are not even willing to pay for the
yes,
service.
yes.
But mostly it is with startups.
Okay. So why do these startups do not have like specific teams, and why do I just try to understand so that
Yeah.
uh, maybe the good discussions help us understand better, and probably it will give you
Yeah,
better.
let's say you are a startup, you have a small fund that you got from the investors, and you want to build the first MVP to convince the investors to give you more money, something like this. In this case, if you bring someone, like bring a team that will work full time with you, and so you need to pay
That's
them each
Yeah,
month.
yeah, got it. So they want to
But
delegate that task, make a MVP, get the money, get the team.
yes,
Okay.
like whenever you build the MVP, they are okay with it. The investors are okay with it. Then they can bring a team or some. But at the beginning, most of them they cannot afford having a team that will be paid each month. See what I mean? And also, bringing a team sometimes is not that efficient than having a company that is already experts on that specific part, so they know what they do. You just give them the requirement, they give you the deliverables, and that's it. The like But I think this is the first main thing that
That's a top revenue.
why the startups do this. Yes.
So it's like, would you say that the top revenue earning aspect or domain is this startups looking for MVPs?
Yes, not only MVPs, sometimes they are in the second stage, but mostly it is MVPs. Mostly it is like building something to show to the world for investors, for like first clients, or just to see if their idea is working. Because sometimes they, like, you find people that they don't even pay from the investors' money. Maybe they pay from their own money
Yeah,
just to make the project real, and they can show it to the first investors or something like this.
that's quite interesting. So when you write the LinkedIn post or blogs, you can actually specify this, you know, target audience. Like, let's say if you want to, raise a capital for this, and you want to show, and maybe this is how we can help, and then you write your solution. This can really get the perfect audience. Just like,
For sure. Yeah, like actually, Islam, my brother does this kind of posts. Mostly, I focus on technical posts, like whenever
Hmm.
I test something. But mostly, Islam does this kind of posts, like explaining what is our business model and
Hmm.
who are our clients and stuff. Yeah.
Very happy to know this. Okay, next question. This is more technical part. Let's go on to technical thing that you love the most. So,
Sure.
I am working on medical imaging, and as I am working on segmentation. Okay,
Okay.
so it's very hard to get data, original data from the medical experts, right? Which on which you will actually train. So did you like, let's say you have no data, okay? Let's say it's a brain tumor, okay? You have no data, or let's say it's a different disease. You have no data, but how do you start your uh, journey in labeling? Like,
You said you have no data or you have raw data.
uh, let's say I would say you have no data.
You don't have even the scans.
I have the scans, and what I
Ah,
data means labels. I did
okay.
labels, yes.
Yeah, it depends if you are willing to do it yourself or willing to pay someone to do it. Mostly for us, it depends. Like whenever we have a client who has just raw data, no labels. So what we do, like we propose, like either he brings the team to do the annotation, or we can bring our team, because we don't have an internal team, but we work with other teams that does annotation. So we just have the, like we take the data and we will be responsible from discussing with the team, reviewing after them, doing the QA and validating, because like the QA and validation we do it anyways, even if the client team does the annotation. Because if we just take that data and train the model and then we see that some things are not okay, then we are just wasting our resources. So most of the time we do the QA. But if the annotators are from our side, then like we do more QA because we are responsible for that. But mostly it is like this. And some of the other ways of optimization, which are, let's say you have 1,000 case, so you annotate, either you or a team, you annotate 200 cases, let's say. We train a model, and then you use this model to accelerate your work. So this model, we call it mostly model-led annotation, which is you have a model that helps you annotate another data set. Like it is just to assist you. It is not something that will annotate for you, because some people just mistake here. They take the data, pass it to the model, and then directly use that data for training. It doesn't work like this, because it is still assisting you. So you need to review, make changes if needed. If it is okay, then this is the best scenario. Otherwise, you need to do the changes and then feed the data set to the model and train it again and do the same thing. So let's say 200, you just run 100, annotate, like correct it, add it to the 200, train another model on the 300, and then run it on another 100, vice versa. See what I mean? So these are the two ways. Or you do the whole annotation manually. And sometimes you can find existing models that does this. For example, if you are trying to segment something that exists in the total segmentator classes, there are 117 classes. So if your class that you want to segment does exist there, then you can use their model to help you do the annotation. So something like this.
So what I mean is that you know about segment anything model, right? So how do you like, you can now fasten up the initial annotation process, manual annotation process. Let's say first 10 scans or 100 scans by Sam, right? Or by basic unsupervised learning. So do you ever use that with your team?
No, we don't use SAM. We have annotators. They do it, like most of the time they use their tools. If they want to use SAM, we don't care. Like mostly we
Yeah.
verify
So
the
you
data.
do not focus on the annotation part. You
Yeah,
just
we
let
don't.
it handle.
Exactly, because also SAM, yes, it is good for some things, but in some specific classes, let's say, for example, I don't know, small tumor or something, it is not always easy to segment it using SAM. So you may just waste your time trying to do it, and you can do it just manually. It will be faster, something like this. But we don't care which tool will be used for annotation. We just care about the quality of the final annotation.
Um, so these people are medical people who
Yeah, yeah.
okay, okay.
Because like if it is like even small things, let's say even just the liver, which is easy to see, they can miss it in the last slices. So mostly you need to have someone who does the knowledge, who does know like the anatomical parts, which is finding the and also not any medical people, because you might find someone who can do good annotation in the head on the CBCT, for example, but not that good in the other part of the body, and vice versa. So you need to find specific people to the specific thing that you want to segment. Otherwise, it will be lost.
So what do you think about these companies, RoboFlow and Ultralytics? You know about them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
But about like, what is the question exactly? Like
what I'm saying is that they have a cloud-based system which you can use for annotating
annotation.
and like, do you use such a system or?
I used RoboFlow once, I remember, but I know that some of our clients they use it for annotation, but I don't use it myself. I use it only once for testing. Ultralytics, I use directly the library with the YOLO model. I don't use the platform,
Okay.
but I think they are good and like you can use them. But the thing is that sometimes for some specific scenarios, because like I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't know if RoboFlow supports DICOM or Nifty as inputs. Did you try? They don't. So in this case, there is, for example, V7. The V7 it is another platform for annotation. They support DICOM and Nifty. The
V7.
idea V7, yes, like it is almost the same way how RoboFlow
V7
works.
Labs.
Yes,
Okay.
it is the same way, but they support medical data, which is good. But I didn't use it myself. I just know about it. But since I said like I don't like the annotation part, so I most of the time I skip it.
So, so do you do the annotators? Like, just asking because I'm trying to understand the workflow. So you must follow our workflow so that the annotators give the right nifty data, right, of segmentation. So do they use like ITK snap or something like that?
Yeah, I use ITK Snap for visualization. Sometimes ITK Snap, sometimes 3D Slicer.
Yeah.
Depends because sometimes some things ITK Snap can miss that 3D Slicer can detect, and vice versa. Sometimes you have the mask that is not in the right position. Maybe the origin matrix is not okay, or the orientation matrix is not okay. But ITK Snap does the correction like in the backend, which when you overlay the mask on the scan, you see that everything is okay. But in reality, they are not. But if you open them in Slicer, you will see the difference. You see that yes, in 3D Slicer, if they don't have the same metadata, they will not be overlaid correctly. This is one of the examples. But yes, I use both of them, mostly both of
But
them for.
3D slicer is very slow compared to ITK snap, right?
Yeah, because it has a lot of modules,
Yeah.
but depends. Yeah, depends also to the PC because since they have a lot of rendering based on VTK, they use GPU. If you do have a GPU, they will use GPU, so the experience will be smoother than not having GPU on your PC.
Okay.
Mm.
Uh, that's great. So I heard from Islam that you guys use NNUNet as of now mostly for segmentation modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is I think this is have been like already discussed by Islam. Do you want to like talk about how um what is the challenge from moving from real like the research to deployment in medical AI? Noor has sorry Islam has talked about this step by step how he uses cloud-based service and all these things. So what was the biggest hurdles and how did you face it? Like
No, to be honest, everything related to deployment and APIs and stuff, I don't do it. It is Islam's expertise. He does all this part of the work. But it depends because like mostly the clients they are the ones who choose the infrastructure, so they can some you find some client that want to do in AWS, other that want to do in Google Cloud, other who want to use, let's say, Rampod, which uses just serverless things. If you want, like, depends to the client, and you need to deploy the model in their infrastructure. But mostly this part, Islam who does it. So I don't have much information about this part.
got it. Okay, nice. So so did you work with AI agents or things like that as of now?
Not directly, like we use LLMs, like the models directly, but we don't use the AI agents as of now.
Okay. So the reason I asked is that many companies, have started automatically um, training the model by AI agents. Like if
Okay.
you write, can you train the model? It will run till it works and all these things. Uh,
Sorry, maybe I didn't understand the question. You said do I use the AI agents, or you said do I build the AI agents?
Do you use
Ah,
AI?
yes.
Yeah, in
Ah,
your
I use, yeah. For example, I use Cursor. I don't know if you know it, Cursor.
no. So what I mean is that while building the solutions,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cursor. You know Cursor, the
yeah,
AI.
it's for coding, right?
Yeah, but like, but because it is also an AI agent, so I use
Oh,
it for
okay,
code.
okay, I get your point. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It is an AI agent. You can just by prompts build a lot of things. But I don't know if you are talking about something more specific. But like mostly we use Cursor for the coding part. There is also another tool that just started working with, which is called Lovable. Also another AI agent tool that builds front end solutions based on React. But apart from this, why we don't use other AI agents for other things?
So as of now, did you only work with radiology data, or did you also work with pathological data or microscopic data?
No, mostly only with radiology.
That's great. So you, I think the project you said like um you worked on like a startup was looking for, and then you probably they were looking into some data, or they are doing it for a company in Asia. So how do you make sure like, or how do you ensure, or does it actually not, it's not possible you can answer anything about how to generalize the performance across different modalities or hospitals, not modalities but hospitals or patient populations of the same data?
Mostly, I don't have an exact way to do this, but it is about the data. So if you give me a data from US and you want to use the model in Asia, like from the beginning, we need to be transparent. The first thing that we will say, like if you have a public data set, this is the first thing. Like even if you have public data set from US and you will use it in US, this doesn't guarantee that the model will be good, because most of the public data sets are not good quality and stuff. So from the beginning, you need to be transparent with the client, like which like from where he did get the data set, then where he will use it. And mostly like the same idea of the model led, you can, if there is public data sets on US, you can take them, train a model, use it to annotate data in Asia, for example, then train another model in Asia. But we cannot expect that the model will work. Sometimes, yes, it does work good, but not all the time. In this case, you need to be transparent from the beginning. Like you say, like this is what will happen. I can train the model, then we can use it for annotation, and then you can adapt it for your population. But you cannot make sure always that, because most of the solutions are like this. Even bigger solution that has FDA approval and stuff, they don't work like this, like having model that has been trained on one population and they will be general for everything. Only if they train on different, let's say you have 10,000 cases from each population and then use all of them to train a model. Even this, you cannot expect that it will be the best. If you just train it on only 10,000 of that specific population, it will work better than if you train a model on all the global world population and then use it in that part. But I think this is a known knowledge. Most, like even a client, when he wants to do this, he is aware about this. Like it is not something that they don't expect, but it is like this. If you want to have the best model on your population, then get the data from that location. Otherwise, we cannot guarantee.
So here's a follow-up question. So what? So let's assume that computer vision task consists of three most important: image classification, image segmentation, and image object detection. Okay, let's say three. Like let's talk about broadly. So did you only work with medical image segmentation, or you have also worked about object detection in medical imaging, which is very
Uh,
close to segmentation, or did you also work on classification?
no, we did the three of them. We did three of them.
Okay. So which
Segmentation is the most common one, but we used the three of them. We did the classification, the detection, and the segmentation.
so which one do you think is the most challenging one?
Mostly it is segmentation,
Hmm.
but like because the thing is that the segmentation models needs to be very accurate, because if we can say, just let's say classification, if I just tell you like this image contains tumor or it doesn't contain tumor, it is easy a little bit for the model to just classify the whole thing. But when it comes to segmentation, which is classifying voxel by voxel, in this case, you need to be as much accurate as possible. So I think segmentation is the most challenging, more challenging task. But it depends also. Depends to the task that you want to segment. Sometimes it is very easy. Sometimes it is difficult.
So, similar to you, I have also faced a lot of issues understanding DICOM and Nifty. Okay, initially. So
Okay.
you spend 1 week, probably I spend 2 weeks. Uh, but there are also, H5 and other formats, right?
Yeah.
So what did you learn from this, and how did you manage this? How do you make sure the DICOM metadata is used in the Nifty? What are the like pros and cons of DICOM and Nifty? And you can also talk about the blog you have written. So tell me, help us go through your journey.
Yeah. Just to explain why the issue happened to me, why it took me a week to understand to understand the difference between Nifty and Daiko. It is kind of a joke, because I was using ITK Snap that time for visualization. And ITK Snap automatically, if you have a folder of DICOMs,
Yeah.
if you just drag and drop one DICOM, it
Yeah.
will load the whole folder.
Exactly.
And I didn't know this. I
Oh.
didn't know that it is loading the whole. Like, I was thinking all the time that I am just taking one DICOM, but I thought like one file contains all these 3D things. This is how I was thinking of it. And
Mhm.
when I open a Nifty, it is the same thing. But the idea is that yes, you were like dragging only one Nifty, one DICOM, but like the whole folder was being transferred. And this was the problem for me. Like it's like I spent 1 week trying to understand why one DICOM is equal to one Nifty. But this is just one citing to explain why this happened to me. But to come back to your question, which is the data, I mostly prefer Nifty files. They are very easy to use,
Yeah.
like anonymized. Like mostly, I like Nifty. But if you are building a solution, like when I was just building things for blogs, I was using all the time Nifty. But when it comes to building a solution for a client, the client doesn't use Nifty, especially if your solution will be integrated with the PAC system or hospitals. They will not use Nifty. Nifty is something that we do use as developers, but for them, they just have a folder that contains DICOMs, and then they want to use it as it is. So you need, whenever you build a solution, you need to adapt it to, like, even if you mostly in the development part you use Nifty, but always make sure that at the end of the day your solution will expect to have Nifty, okay, but also DICOMs. And this is the thing. And at the beginning, when I was using just Nifty, I was using the library Nibabel, which is easy to process Nifty. But when it comes to DICOM, I was using PyDICOM. Both of them are okay, but at some point I started thinking like, why should I use two libraries once when I can just use one library that can process both of them, both of these file types, and see them at the same way. For example, like I use simple ITK mostly to read the data. Why? Because you can read a folder of DICOM, and you can read one Nifty file, and both of them can be converted to CTK image, which is the same thing. So kind of not multi-model, but multi-format. I don't know how to call it, but you have only one. Like I have blog and stuff about this, like called unified reader, when you can give a folder of DICOMs or you can give a Nifty, but the output will be the same. Because when you use Nibabel, yes, the input will be Nifty, the output will be a NumPy array, and you don't have much things. But when it is a DICOM, you will read each file separately, and then you have a series of DICOMs. But simple ITK, no, you give folder of DICOMs or one Nifty file, and then the output will be CTK image, which is the same thing. From there, like it's been 2 years or more, then I switched to simple ITK. But it was one of the good decisions that I made. Like When I need just some, for example, I want to check things about dicoms where I need to read the dicoms like file by file. In this case, I use PyDicom for specific things, which is because Simple ITK is a little bit slower than the others because it contains a lot of things. But yes, if I just want the Nifty itself, I may use Nibabel sometimes. If I want just the DICOM, may use PyDicom. But when I am planning to the project and I see that at the end I will use DICOM and Nifty, in this case I use most of the time I use Simple ITK. So it will be easier to handle the 3D array, the metadata if needed, and stuff. But yeah, this is the idea about data.
Nice. So when you give them back the segmentation labels, is it
Yeah.
in like, is it okay? It's in cloud, okay, not in like, or because segmentation labels should be in also in Nifty format, right? Or
Yeah. Yeah,
so
it depends. Sometimes it can be Nifty, it can be DICOM RT, DICOM SEG, STLs, PLY. Depends to where you want. Because if someone wants to take that output and adjust it, then preferably you should give Nifty. If they want to do it for 3D printing, you need to give STL. If they want to use it for visualization, you can give PLY.
Hmm,
Depends to where. If they want to integrate it in the PAX systems, it will be DICOM RT or DICOM SEG because the others are not supported. So this is the idea. It depends to where you want to integrate the solution.
got it. Thank you so much. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Uh, so mostly the technical questions are done. It's okay. A few more future questions, and I will talk about bit about more hospitals and a few more things. So looking ahead, where do you see like the promising AI applications in medical imaging and beyond, like in healthcare? Where do you see that, and how do you think PyCat is preparing for that?
As PyCAD, as we are an agency, so we use the state-of-the-art models. And our business model is that we take the state-of-the-art models, we try to adapt them to work for your use case. So for the moment, we don't build the model like from scratch. Sometimes we do some changes in the architectures, but we don't do from scratch the whole models. So in this case, I don't see that will be a big problem whenever we have news about medical. Like sometimes it doesn't even require to be medical model. For example, it's when it comes to not images, it comes to data, let's say LLMs and stuff. You don't require to have a specific model related to the medical data. You can just take GPT and it can do your task. So this is the idea. Like our expertise is how to take a specific model and adapt it for the client use case. So this is how we are thinking of it. But in the future, we have some plans, but we are still working on them. And nothing
Kamil,
is
I
public at
I
the moment.
have a few more questions, follow-up questions on this. But I remembered that Islam said that I personally thought that PyCAD means Python plus computer-aided diagnosis, the CAD. But I heard from Islam that it was not the case. So what was the reason behind giving the name PyCAD?
like like the idea is like when I started doing these things, like it wasn't related to medical data, or like it was related to anything. It was just random things, Python stuff, and sometimes C++. So at the beginning, just each letter was for something. Like it's very stupid, but it was just for something. Like it was like I don't know 6 years ago or something, but it was just for fun. You see what I mean? But after that, I started a little bit going to, let's say, Python part, and then it was Python Academy. So Python Academy would start PyCAD, something like this.
Ooh.
Little bit.
Love doing
Here I started giving it a good name because before that it was very bad name. I don't like to mention, but but at that point when I started thinking of giving it a good sense, let's say, so it started Python Academy, so PyCAD, something like this. It was a little bit confused with the CAD models, PyCAD, because there is a library called PyCAD for the CAD models, but Python Academy. And then when we started doing medical data and people started knowing our channel and our website by the name PyCAD, so it is difficult to change the name. So it was this like the history, and we leave it like this.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fun. That's fun. Uh,
Thanks.
so the follow-up question will be, yeah, I mean that is a very good coincidence, to be very honest. So my question will be in medical domain. Uh, there are a lot of AI applications, right? Not only in medical imaging, but how are you planning to integrate text and segmentation? Let's say someone asks you that, hey, can you segment? So let's say someone doesn't want the entire 17 part of the teeth, or let's say all the 32 teeth. So let's say, can you segment the canine? Okay. And it
Okay.
segments it. So is it, are you also preparing for that? How do you see the demand in the market about these things?
So if I understand your question correctly, you are thinking about like how you can do perform the segmentation or detection just by prompting. This is what
Yes,
you.
just text prompting. Have you like, did the demand come from the startups?
Yeah, I saw some new models that came out about these things, but I still didn't test them. But I think this is, yes, this is one of the things that's worth testing. The only thing is that if they are accurate or not, and also if even if you find them, maybe they are accurate on specific thing that was publicly available as data, because to train these kind of models, you will require a lot of data and specific annotation. It is not just as any other annotation. So I think it is not an easy task, but I saw a model like I think it came out 2 days or 3 days 3 days back. It looks interesting, but I didn't test it yet. But I think this, if we will have this kind of models, they will be the future, because it will be easier to communicate with the doctor. So the doctor can just, even he doesn't even need to write; he can just talk,
Yeah.
and then you do transcription, and that transcription you can use it as a prompt. Like this is very good, like good thing to be used in the future. But depends to the models if they are performing as we are expecting or not.
Yeah, I think there is one person whose name is also Amini. He is on LinkedIn. I see that he interacts with you and Islam.
Ah,
Uh,
it is Dr. Amin Kurshi.
yeah, Amin Koshi.
Yeah.
So I saw one of his video, and he also was talking about this, where the people are talking over the microphone at segmentation, something like that.
Yeah, there is this kind of, there are this kind of solutions. Sometimes you just go to the doctor, and they, since they have a lot of patients, they cannot just write everything for each patient. They just can do the recording, and then there is a software like in the back end, just take the recording, create a summary of what he was saying and the discussion between the patient and the doctor. It will be like these kind of solutions exist. I think there are in different scenarios, but I think these kind of solutions exist. They are already used in production. Let's say.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
Mhm.
Very happy to know that. Okay, so now a few futuristic questions, in the sense that um, one question for the radiologists, one question for the engineers and the researchers, and one question for finally PyCAD.
Yep.
So for the, because in many parts of the world, how do you inspire the people? So as you said, it's mostly about the startups who are trying to raise money for their work. Those people are coming to you, right?
Mostly yes.
Yes. So what, to make this large scale, so that there are multiple such businesses, because the more, the better the business in all the worlds, the better the GDP of the entire world, better everything is better. So how do you, like, what was your experience talking to the doctors and radiologists about this thing? How can you think, how do you think we can inspire them to make them come out of their shell, and taking out their fear that AI will replace them?
Mhm. The first thing that they need to know is that AI will never replace them. For this reason, we call most of the solutions, we say AI assisted system, which is just assisting the doctors and giving him more time to rest. Let's say if he is doing, let's say, preparing for a surgery, and he needs to do the segmentation of the organs and then do the plans for surgery. If this segmentation is taking him, let's say, 1 hour to complete, I can give you a solution that will do it in 1 minute or 5 minutes, and you will have another 55 minutes that you can spend on something else. Because the idea is like this: it's not replacing on 100%, but just assisting. So it will give you more time to do something else. Like, mostly this is how I see it, because there are some domains where you feel like the AI is replacing things. But when it comes to the medicine, I think it will not replace, because even if I tomorrow I build a solution and I say that this will replace the doctors, no one will believe me, because no one will put himself at risk of a system or of a robot, let's say, of a bot. They always need a human that will give the final decision, and this human that will make the final decision should be a doctor. But like, if we can talk about, let's say, in a hospital, we have 10 doctors doing this part. If we are having these 10 doctors because it is taking 1 hour, then when it comes to 1 minute, maybe we'll not need the 10 doctors, maybe we'll need only 5 or something like this. In this part, yes, it is a bit scary, but I don't know if, because like in all the hospitals, there is always lack of people. Like, we need always doctors, we need always hands in the hospitals. So I don't think that we'll just say like, yeah, we are full, we don't need you, just need to go home. I don't think that will happen like this. But we maybe, instead of working 10 hours, they will work on only 8 hours or something like this. Like, this is just my thinking or my opinion. But of course, AI is like taking a lot of places, but for sure it will not take the doctor place, but maybe it will decrease the number of available offers to work. Let's say, if now there are 10, maybe there will be only 5, because we don't need all of them.
So let's talk about a bit about the startups that are who are your customers. So who are your clients, I would say. So
Okay.
so they are building something for other hospitals, or what are they delivering?
No, they are building a solution for themselves, and then they can not sell it. They can sell it, or it can be kind of subscription with the hospitals or with small labs or something like this. But they are not selling it, but it is their products. But they use, like, the hospitals use it, and they pay them for that.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Sure.
So final two questions. For the two, one question has two parts. So for the researchers and engineers who are wanting to look into come into medical AI, medical imaging AI, how do you think that they can do it? And number two is that for researchers and engineers who are planning to build something like PyCAD in their own way, what do you suggest them? How can they? What do they focus on? So that, yeah, these are the two main questions. One is learning,
Yeah.
one is building.
Yeah. For the first question, which is learning, I think there are steps to learn in this field, because some, it depends to the fields, but some fields you can directly have. For example, I want to start learning web development, I can directly go to React and stuff, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, directly. It's like that. But in medical data, like in medical imaging or medical data in general, it is not just about the AI part, but it is about the data that you will use and understand, like, the anatomy parts. Because even when you start building the AI models, not the same AI model can work for all the anatomies, and not the same pre-process, post-process can work for all the data. So you need to understand which operation you will apply for, let's say, for liver, which operation you will apply for bone, and vice versa. Like, this is how it looks. But to do that, you need to understand the data first. So mostly, whenever someone asks me about what he needs to learn, the workflow, let's say, to learn how to work on the medical data, the first thing is understand the data, understand what we have, what we are talking, like, not be a radiologist, but at least understand the values, how to read the data, like what are the values that are shown when you print something with your code and stuff. After doing that, you can start the AI part, which is learning how to build AI models or just how to use AI models and stuff, then combine between them. And also use the specific tools for that. You cannot just use a tool that was made for something else and you try using it for medical data, because sometimes you will waste a lot of time just trying to adapt it, and there are other tools that are already available. So this is how I see it to learn, like learn the data, understand it, then learn how to build or use AI models, then how to combine between them using the different tools specific for that domain, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with this, that understanding the domain and understanding the intricacies, whatever it is. Uh, um, for example, when you are looking into the brain imaging, you have to adjust the contrast, right, of the CT scan, let's say.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do it more, sometimes you do it less, and the models are actually really based on that. If you how you change the contrast.
Yeah.
So understanding the domain and how it affects this is very important. Unfortunately, nowadays people start picking and plugging with AI. That is not right thing to do, I believe. As you have said, the understanding data is the first step.
Go directly to the model and find something and start working on it. It doesn't work like this. In the first error that will happen, or even not even the error, if you don't even have errors, everything will work. But let's say you have a dice score of 80%, but your client or your professor or something requires 90%. If you don't know what you are building, you don't even know how to optimize it. You see what I mean? Because sometimes you don't ever like you don't need to have more data to optimize it. Just changing things, as you said, just changing the contrast, just changing stuff like this, adding some data augmentation, and don't use any data augmentation. For example, you see someone doing data augmentation and applying flipping. Flipping can change the thing. So, for example, if you did flip in the horizontally, you will maybe change the location of the liver, which is anatomically wrong. So when you apply, for example, data augmentation things, you need to know what you are applying. Yes, you do rotation a little bit, okay. You do other things, yes, okay. But some operations you cannot do. You cannot apply on medical data. So if you don't know these kind of things, you will just try and apply any operation that comes to you, and without any domain knowledge, you just run it, and if it works, then okay. If it doesn't work, you don't know how to fix it, and this is the issue. You should know at least why it didn't work, at least,
Yes,
you see. Yeah.
I agree fully. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. What about the second question?
Yeah, the second question, which is like you said, how they can build PyCAD, like solutions like PyCAD, yeah, right?
Yeah, so like for example, you're working in medical image segmentation. So how maybe there are some other problems that they can solve. What do you think? Like, uh, what do you think
uh,
the future of this agency's kind of business? For example, there was marketing, and there are a lot of marketing agencies thriving right now, right? Because
yeah.
agent, it's I think this is now the era of individual creator economy and agency economy, I would say. Okay, I call the small businesses. So I think this is the time for it. This is a perfect time for it. And similar to PyCat, there will be multiple, let's say, such agencies in the future. Okay,
Hmm.
because of this is how the wealth economy works. So what do you suggest them? Like, what are the learnings they should take from you? Uh, uh,
I think they should learn the basics, because you cannot learn everything, because it depends to what the client wants. You can have a client that wants segmentation, another client that just wants a web application, because here we are only talking about the models and stuff, but sometimes you have a client which want the whole solution. So he need the application that uploads his data and that shows the annotation, the segmentation and stuff. So you need to have this kind of knowledge. Sometimes you don't need to learn everything. You can hire people to work with you if you have money. But if you don't have money and you need to use only your knowledge, so you need at least to have basics on everything, some of course when I say everything, not all the domains, but for example the data part, you need to know it, like know it. Whenever I give you data, you know how to read it, how to process it, how to understand it, how to like all this, you should know that. Then there is the other parts which are like at least knowing how to build a small like web application or small desktop application as MVP. It is not a full stack solution, but it is just something that can show your work. Because if you are selling your project to a researcher, not AI researcher, but to a doctor, some let's say doctor or radiologist, he doesn't know how to run the code. So you need to build kind of interface for him. In this case, you should at least know how to build even a small interface to just click on a button, upload, and click on a button, run. These kind of basics so that you make your solution easier to be used by the other person. These kind of things, but you cannot learn everything. Mostly you will learn by working with the clients. He may ask you to build something that you have never done before, but you do know some basics. You use them, you learn a little bit, and you build the solution. But mostly it is like this. I don't have something like I don't have a list of things that you need to know, but the basics of course, the data you need to learn it, of course. How to use AI models, existing AI models, the basics, how to run them, how to adjust them, how to debug them. Then, if you think of how to present your project, you need to know how to present it, like data set, like desktop application, you like web application and stuff. Then, if we think about deployment, you should at least know how to use Docker, so that how you can build a Docker image, how to deploy it, how to use this. So these are the basics on everything. You need to learn that. Then, from what the client needs or requirements, you can learn more. We are learning all the time.
Absolutely.
Like it is never like it will never happen. That's a client. It can happen, but not all the time. Where a clients give you a requirement and you know everything in the requirement. There is always some one or two, or sometimes everything that is challenging. But this is how you should do the work.
Perfect. Very happy. Very happy to talk to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Final last question is that I will be having more. I think this time we covered all the things. I have quite a few things to discuss with Islam. So I will discuss with him in the next podcast. I mean, I think all the questions that you wanted to answer and we have discussed. Uh,
Thanks.
you're on time perfectly. So final question: where can people? I would say, what kind of people you want to talk to and build your business, build your PyCAD, and how can people get to talk to you for PyCAD? How can people get to know about the work you're doing at PyCAD? So please tell them.
Yeah, mostly we like most updates we post them on LinkedIn. Me and Islam, we post on LinkedIn everything related to the technical things we are doing and stuff, because we don't post projects of the clients. This like in confidentiality parts, we don't post anything related to that. But there is the LinkedIn, then the website, then sometimes the YouTube, because like the YouTube is the part that we don't post a lot.
Hmm.
So the first part is LinkedIn, which is sometimes daily. Then there is the blog, which in our website. Then we have the also there is a newsletter where each week we send a newsletter about the medical images, medical data in general. So yeah, newsletter, the LinkedIn, website, YouTube, most all the time, but just one of the resources. Yeah.
Perfect. Uh, Anything more you want to say to the people who are
Uh,
hearing you?
nothing specific, but I would say if you like this domain and you want to start working on it, just start. Just pick some public data sets, learn them, understand how they work, and then start learning. If you maybe if you do already know how to use AI and stuff, you can start integrating this medical data in your AI. Like do small projects. Don't start with big things so that you will be disappointed, because sometimes this is what happens. You start doing a big project, and then when it fails, you just like leave everything and go to something else. But start with smaller things. Whenever you accomplish them, go to bigger things, and always share your knowledge, and this will help. Because if, especially if you are thinking of having people that will come to you and ask for project and stuff, you need to post that. If you work just for yourself, no one will know your expertise and stuff. So just share your knowledge, share whatever can be shareable, let's say, and explain yourself, and let's wait and expect clients to come to you for custom
Perfect.
solutions.
Thank you, Amine. I mean, very happy to talk to you. Um, you have all answered all my questions. Actually, um, you have answered about the main question I had about the 3D slicer aspect that you said. Um, uh, you of course said that how GPU having GPU helps, and of course you have a GPU. But yeah, that was one of the technical questions I had. Islam has already talked about that, how you guys focus on NNUnet because it's of its flexibility,
Yeah,
and um, I'm happy you actually addressed this issue of the future entrepreneurs, the future Armenian, future Islams, uh, who will be building similar things. And thank you for coming. I mean, uh,
thank you very much.
I
It
hope
was
you
interesting. Yeah, thank you very much.
I have a beautiful day ahead.
Bye bye. Thanks.